Welcome to the Sci-Fi Center, the place to be, where comic books and wrestling collide magically. Movies, TV shows, and pop culture we share. Get ready to rock, we're here to take you there. From superheroes to aliens in outer space, we've got the latest news and reviews in our embrace. Turn on your screen, let the neon lights glow. We'll take you back to the 80s. Let's rock and roll. Sci-Fi Center, where the legends come alive. Get ready to geek out, let your imagination fly. We're diving into the past with a touch of modern flair. Sci-Fi Center, the ultimate pop culture lair.
Happy Saturday and welcome to the Saturday Overnight Live edition of the Sci-Fi Center Presents. Sorry I was a little bit late, but Saturdays I'm still in that decision-making process of whether we want to continue to do this show on Saturday or consolidate it to Sunday. Haven't made the final decision yet, but I'm still working on it though. So being that I am in a middle of a operating retail environment, if I have customers in the store, then I got to take care of them first. Same thing that happened earlier today with our Spinal Tap watch along. For those of you who are along for that ride, if any of you want to ever commission your own watch along party, the link is in the description, but it's also tied to the top of the chat right now. If you want to donate a couple bucks, depending on what you donate and what your movie is, we'll be able to pull it off like we did for Larry this afternoon, and as we've done for several other people throughout the last couple of years. Whew. Just hold on for a second. Kind of hot. This time of night, I usually have the door open, but they have their weekly car show going on, and I love the fact that they're there, but they're kind of it'll overwhelm my voice. So tonight's topics are going to be one of them is going to be near and dear to me because if you guys know, the Sci-Fi Center has its own Rocky Horror Picture Show cast. In fact, we're gearing up for a performance at Ellis Island Casino here on October 30th. So for those of you who will be in the greater Las Vegas area, but I've been involved with Rocky for almost 30 years or so, and I've had my own cast for about 15 years. That's part of the actual Sci-Fi Center. So we're going to celebrate the 50th anniversary, which was yesterday, but I didn't have a show yesterday, of the debut of the Rocky Horror Picture Show, which was October 26, 1975. We are going to, after the events of Peacemaker, we're going to dive into, because to be honest with you, I'm not as versed on this as I am other particular multiverse sagas and Elseworld sagas, but we're going to dive into Earth 10, also known as Earth X, given what we saw in Peacemaker last week, and just kind of try to figure out how inspired was James Gunn during this season, and are we going to get the type of Earth X that we got in the comic books and certain heroes? There might be some differences, but it looks like he's going from that script. And what else we got up here? Let's see. Oh, we will recognize the 39th anniversary of the passing of Cliff Burton, one of the better bass guitarists of the 80s. And he wasn't just a bass guitar. He could probably play any string instrument, but he was good. He was Metallica's first bass player. He was on their first 3 albums, including Justice for All as a writing credit. He passed away in a bus accident 39 years ago today, September 27th. So we'll look at the life, brief life. He was only, I think he was only 26. But we'll go over one of the very first things I heard from Metallica was his bass solo called Anesthesia, pulling teeth. So we'll talk about that. But first, we'll say hi to the chat. Yes, we did go up to 11 today. Let me know if you guys are hearing me coming clear, because I need to make sure that this mic is running. I don't want to have the show go on and then listen to the replay and be aggravated by the fact that there's messed up. What's up, man?
We're down that way at the music studio.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to figure out where the hell we put our trash here.
Right there.
Is that dumpster down there?
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem.
Because we were like got it all piled up. I'm like, dude, where's
Yeah,
the
you're
dumpster?
supposed to have a dumpster for you guys. Technically, your dumpster is on the other side in front of the Mexican restaurant. But because you're part of this structure, you can use that one. Nobody's going to snitch unless somebody snitches on you, which is not going to happen. All right, man.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right. Do I think Mr. Terrific, Jon Stewart, Green Lantern are doing? I don't know. The only Earth X stories I knew took place, a little bit before they were prominent. So I'm assuming, well, they're probably in concentration camps, unfortunately, and or dead. So somebody just dinged me. Was that you, Clint? Let's see. Internet's kind of wacky today too. Everything's freezing up. Okay, cool. Thank you. All right. So yeah, I don't think anybody of color is either that or so. Remember, there are freedom fighters, so not everybody is in a concentration camp. They may, depending on which version, and we'll go over that too, because I'm going to go ahead and there's a nice little encyclopedia, multiverse omnipedia that explains Earth X/10, and it explains. I keep calling it Earth X. I should call it Earth 10 because Earth X is a Marvel thing. So Earth 10, it shows you, because there's a pre-crisis, post-crisis, rebirth, all that. There's different versions of it that exist, and we'll read through it and figure out where we're going with that one. Hello, Music Man. Long time no see. How are you doing, Jose? What's going on? Yet, yeah, he crashed. He missed Spinal Tap, but the guy in his midday naps are just hilarious. Oh yeah, Spinal Tap was fun. Oh, you pre-ordered it already? That's right. It wasn't in theaters very long. That's kind of weird. Yeah, it was fun. It was fun. I hadn't seen that movie in a while, even though I downloaded it. Rocky Rah Rah Rah. Yeah, Clint's probably my Rocky Horror co-pilot for this show. Yeah, we do it monthly show. Now we're back on track. We'll be doing one. We just did one a couple of weeks ago, and we are gearing up for our 5th annual Halloween performance at Ellis Island. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and put the link to our Facebook page. You guys can see some of the photos. Put that in there. For those of you, yep, that's our cast. Oh, Finn's saying hi. No, I do not sing, nor do I dance. Cliff was 26. Yeah, hold on. Cliff Burton was 26 years old when he passed away. Man, we're just having all kinds of just. Hold on. Can't get anything to come up. I can't get any of the windows. All right, so I'm just aggravated. Pretty sure Cliff Burton was 26 years old. I mean, I have it pulled up here, but like I said, the internet is not working right. Yeah, 1962 to 1986. So yeah, he was. Oh no, I'm sorry. He's 24. He was 24. Wow. Cliff Burton was 24. Yes, indeed. Like I said, you saw the logo that I have. That is the official 50th anniversary logo for the Rocky Horror Picture Show. We will be using that for the rest of the year, and then we'll be using that at our Halloween performance as well. I never know, dude. I mean, he was supposed to be there for Spinal Tap, but he's on the East Coast time too. So we gotta appreciate the fact that his sleeping patterns are all kinds of fucked up because I'm on the West Coast and I stream late. So. Can you imagine what the grifter channels would say if Dimensions and Peacemaker they had no why to be? Oh, but they're probably. I mean, they're going to say the same thing that other people did. I mean, nobody's going to care what they have to say, though. I mean, least of all James Gunn because he's doing white supremacists. So, I mean, they would call it woke or whatever. And like I said, when I hear that word woke, all I see is a caveman trying to make words. Yep, and in fact, our cast is called Science Fiction Double Feature. It is named after the song that opens up the Rocky Horror Picture Show. Um, has Paul Thomas Anderson done anything that I? Hold on, because I'm having internet issues. I can't pull up any of the stuff I want to pull up. Oh. Yeah, 24. Did you like the movie? Clint? I'm not Clint. Fourth, because I've heard a lot about it, but like I said, I don't know if I'm going to be going to see this. All right, let's see. Home occupation, daily life. See, he does a bunch of Sundance shit that I just don't. I don't go see. I mean, he did Boogie Nights. Punch Drunk Love, which I'll never see. Let's see. Oil, There Will Be Blood. All right, good one. Master. Well, so far he just doesn't. This doesn't. It's not my vibe, man. In this movie, I've seen the previews. It just doesn't look like anything I'd want to sit through. And to me, sometimes I can determine that even before that. But I heard about Licorice Pizza. Um, like I said, I just he just doesn't do movies I care about. I mean, nothing against him or anything, but if I just looked at his catalog of movies and there's just not, most of the stuff on there. I mean, There Will Be Blood. I mean, there's just things like that. Daniel Day-Lewis. But yeah, doesn't seem like something I'd want to leave the house for. That's just me. Okay, I gotta find out if I'm coming through because I can't. None of the stuff that I need to access is working. All right. Well, let's go ahead and start off with the 50th anniversary of Rocky Horror Picture Show. Since I can't open up any other screens, nice little nifty article by NPR. Everybody, like I said, I've been a part of it since I was a kid. My first Rocky Horror Picture Show was in a place called, and I don't even know if it's still standing, Montclair. Oh, jeez. Hopefully this is showing up on you guys. Okay, it's still there. It's showing me that it's stalled, but I can see it up on the screen. Montclair Plaza in Riverside County. I remember being there when there was no front seats and the Time Warp was just a mosh pit. And it was a different environment, different world. This is like the late 80s, I think 88, 89. And that was my first show. It was crazy. I'd never seen anything like it before. I'd heard about Rocky Horror Picture growing up, but I wasn't old enough to get permission to go until I was about 14, 15 years old. So that's when I went. And it was wild, man. It was wild, but a lot of stuff that went on when you went to Rocky Horror would not just get you canceled today, might get you arrested today. It was just a loose environment, but nobody did anything to each other. Nobody groped each other. Nobody did anything. And there was a bunch of people, mosh pitting, people in their underwear. I mean, just all kinds of crazy stuff going on. And you came dressed up. They did the virgin sacrifice. And from that moment on, like I said, and as I grew into adulthood, I started going more and more. And back, when it was a weekly thing. Now, in most places, it's only a monthly thing, including here in Vegas. But it was a weekly thing when I started going, and it's something you did every Saturday. There are some places in America that still do. I think New York is one of them that do a Friday and Saturday show because those kind of markets are really, it doesn't never die out. And some other places, it's not as big as it used to be. You used to go to anywhere in any major city, and there were at least, one or two shows happening. Now it's kind of scarce. And a lot of it is because times have changed. People grow up and go into different things, but Rocky Horror, I put the link into the chat of the link to Artcast, and it September 26, 1975 was the very first one. So it was 10 p.m. at the New Art Theater in West Los Angeles. This is when it appeared here in America, not because it first appeared in England. It was 10 p.m. in the New Art in West Los Angeles. I've actually been there. And Kayla Disco, hope I'm pronouncing your name if you're watching, Creveling was hunting for virgins. We had a little tradition in Rocky Horror where we mark our virgin. We still do that. We still do that with the lipstick and the V. Rocky Horror Virgin is someone who is there for the first time. We love consent. Like I said, that's what you did when you showed up. If they didn't recognize you, if certain cast didn't recognize you, you were a virgin, whether you'd seen it or not. They were going to put it on you. But yeah, you had your virgin sacrifices. You had all kinds of stuff going on. This was earlier on in Tim Curry's career. I'm still having a crap load of issues bringing things up. Oh, it's very, very much sanitized. Like I said, I got my first time at Rocky Horror, I got hit in the head with a Doc Martin by accident because somebody was crowd surfing. They caught him and they were spinning around right before the time warp ends, and I got clocked right in the forehead. I got knocked out, and they were able to get me up and drag me out of harm's way, and then they continued doing their thing. It wasn't nothing personal. I mean, he didn't do it on purpose, but you didn't complain or anything like that. You could be bleeding. Nobody, you weren't a pussy. But yeah, there was a lot of stuff. I mean, I was at one show where there was like a section, no shit, where all the girls were topless, and they had their all stuff written on them and everything else. Nobody touched them. Nowadays, you would not be able to do that, man. People just didn't have the respect. You showed up, and people from all walks of life, like there would be a dentist or a doctor or a cop there. There would be, that was their day of the week to let loose and not be judged. And then we just had fun. I mean, like I said, you'd have people in various states of undress in your crowd, and it was nothing. Nothing was going to happen to them. And then you would see the same people so often that you knew who they were, and you would make sure nothing happened to those people. And you also had, it was a welcoming. That was one of the things about Rocky Horror. The community was a welcoming community. Anybody could show up and be welcome there. There was no real cliques at the time I started going. There was no real, elitism. I mean, if you came and wanted to be part of it, the community that I was accepted into was very accepting. Try to carry that over into what we do at our show with Rocky Horror. But for those of you who are unfamiliar, most Rocky Horror picture shows that you'll ever see are accompanied by a shadow cast. A shadow cast is the people dressed up as the people on the screen, pantomiming, lip syncing basically to the show and acting out the show with a live audience. There are callbacks. Clint, who was in our audience, is one of the kings of our callbacks. And they are queued up. So when certain things happen, whenever Brad's name is mentioned, asshole, Janet, slut, there are certain, ones that are obscene, and they change out. I mean, so it's the ones that you would hear back in the 80s have changed out. None of them are tasteful, but they're all fun. So, when damn it, Janet, Brad's like, hey, Janet. And then the crowd yells, sit on my face and wiggle. Now, the only problem with that is if you hear that enough times and you hear somebody at like your workplace or somebody say, hey, Janet, and you compulsively yell that out, you might have to do some explaining to do. But the callbacks are part of it. The dressing up is part of it. The props are part of it. We have prop kits. I have some here. I'm back. One of the days I gave you guys a tour, you guys actually got to see some of my Rocky props that are behind you because this is where we store them. We do our show down at the Nunnery, and we got one coming up on October 17th, and then we have another one coming up on October 30th. But yeah, people show up, they dress up, they got the rice, we got the water guns. I mean, it's all queued up, and it's all it's all fun. And it's like I said, it's that environment to wherever you were doing, wherever you were, those other 5 days a week or whatever you were, whenever you clocked out from your job and came into there, you could let all that go. And then when it was over with, you went back to your mundane existence. So I enjoy it. I enjoy being a part of it. It's fun. I am not a performer. We host the show. We have our own cast. That's literally part of the Sci-Fi Center. But so I enjoy being in that aspect of it. But we do have cast members. We do have people that are part of it. And then I'm going to go ahead and hopefully, if the internet wants to work tonight, it should because I'm paying for it. So these are some pictures over the years of our group. Our cast, the official cast of the Sci-Fi Center, is called Science Fiction Double Feature. It's kind of a play on the Science Fiction Retail Event Center, which is me, and then the opening song. It's not working. Hold on. It's a pain in the ass. Something's up. I might have to come out and come back in again, guys, because we're either having StreamYard issues or we're having internet issues. Let's see if this works. All right. I'm going to come back and I'm going to come back in and again and see if we can get this going. All right. So, hope you guys can hear me. Yeah, I'm trying to restart, but I think it's the laptop that froze on me this time around. Yep, the laptop. So, this is always fun. Yeah, it's completely frozen. So I can't share any of the screens, but yeah, when it came to Rocky Horror, we have our own cast, and it's just been a lot of fun, and it's evolved over the years as the world has changed. When Rocky Horror first came about, we were 1975. We just got done with the Nixon era. We had just got done with Vietnam. Vietnam War ended officially for everybody in 1975. We were 6, 7 years past the height of the civil rights movement, and like I said, the world was a different place. The world was a different place when I came upon it. I mean, in 1980s, it was just it was a completely different world, and in each of those environments presented new challenges for Rocky. For instance, Clint will be able to attest to you because he's probably been in it longer than me. Certain callbacks and certain things that just are not they're looked upon differently than than they are. Hold on, I'm doing this from my phone because I'm having issues with the computer. So yeah, so all right. Well, hold on for a second. This is where I wish I had my co-host on time. If he could take over while I was fixing these issues. All right. Well. And another thing about doing the show here, the everything we have at the house is a little bit more optimized. Yeah, I'll go ahead and send you a link if I can do it from here. Yes, Tim Curry is with us. Tim Curry is still alive. Yes. Oh, Brad is there. Brad, you should be able to let yourself in.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm having issues. Everything froze up here.
Yeah, we got this random black square up here.
Yeah, because the whole thing just went. Hold on, let me send guest copy. Hold on, I'll be right back.
Yeah. And well, while we're waiting on William to be back, the Furious had its LA premiere and Beyond Fest, and it's getting awesome reception.
Please don't put people to sleep.
Why? No, there's a new action classic from Hong Kong. I'm sharing.
If they cared about it, I would say go ahead. I think your audience is one right now.
They love it. They love it. Why am I hearing all this stuff about something flopping in the?
No, he's talking about Rock Your Picture Show.
Okay.
All right, go ahead and add Clinton, and
Okay.
And I will be right back.
Okay.
Yeah, Rocky Horror back in the 80s is when I started doing it. It was a lot wilder back then in the 80s. 90s people got, and now, it's gotten sanitized a lot more, but you still can say a lot of crazy stuff on it. They made a sequel to kind of make fun to that we don't mention ever, because it was on purpose. They made it to be like the original Rocky Horror callback lines. That's why it's like, really? And this thing going on for 50 years, and people, I mean, there's two casts in Las Vegas right now, and they both invited me.
Like I said, I've only kind of been to a live showing of Rocky Horror, and it was like just more to kind of like, was that it was at Tampa Comic Con. It was just in one panel hall. We just kind of poked our heads in, or we were like passing it by and catching little bits of it here and there.
It really is an experience you need to experience from beginning to end, and at least see it a couple times so you can catch all the jokes at the beginning that you didn't catch at the end.
I mean, it's like I've seen just the movie by itself. I've seen theatrically, but I haven't like the accompanying performance. I haven't. But, as far as like
they call that something that I won't mention here because I'm trying to keep it as clean as possible.
Yeah, I mean, I've done kind of the what some might call the contemporary equivalent of that, which I've been to the live showings, multiple live showings of The Room, where people bring the spoons and they bring the footballs and they quote the lines, and I mean, it's often likened to like the Rocky Horror Picture Shows, like the
well, there's a call out line. How do you spell slut? And Brad goes JANET on it.
Yeah.
So that's a mild joke in that.
Yeah, but I mean, there's a lot. I think we're finally getting William in here. There we go. There's William.
That was some bullshit. Yeah. Where were we at? Okay. Go ahead, Clint. What you were saying? So, because I don't want.
I was just discussing call out lines and how they've changed, and and
yeah,
and how I make fun of you. I said that in the chat.
Oh, well, everybody makes fun of me. There are certain ones that, as a veteran of the show, that I have told cast members, and I won't bring up the particular line, that if you say that line again, you won't be back. I know. Well, there are some.
Back in the day, they used to be really gay derogatory terms, and that's as far as I'll go on saying that. But I've even
some of them were racist, but they weren't. Yeah, the intent wasn't necessarily. Yeah, but you also got to realize though, back in 1975 to maybe mid 1980s, that didn't have the connotation. Maybe it should have, but it didn't. And the people who were saying it weren't necessarily homophobes.
No,
as we evolved,
I just know as it has evolved, I stopped saying that.
No, not you, but I'm talking in general. Same here, and a lot of people have. And like I said, there are some that, like I said, the world changed. And there were some of them that you're like, I can't believe we even said it back then, but it's like now it's different. And you're appreciative that, it's part of the longevity. If something lasts long enough, I'm trying to shut this window down. If something lasts long enough, it goes through those type of changes. So let me see if I can bring this up finally, since I'm unfrozen.
In the main gist of Rocky Horror movie, the show, the main gist of it is basically to make fun of everything. Make fun of the movie, make fun of the
It's kind of like South Park.
It's just make fun of everything. Not take it seriously.
All right. Oh, hold on. Here we go. We're trying to get to our pictures from our stuff. But I'm just having all kinds of issues.
Yeah,
right, there we go.
I can call out lines that cast members have never even heard of.
Yeah, and it's some of them are probably for the best that they haven't. Let's see. Here we go. I'm trying to get some of our performance. Okay, here we go. This is one of our performances. I think our second performance at the Ellis Island. And there's us. We've been performing there since 2021, so this will be this year. will be our fifth straight performance that we've been invited back. It's my favorite show of the year. And that food is good. If you're ever in Las Vegas, you get a chance to go to the Front Yard Brewery. It's inside Ellis Island Casino. Man, that food is tasty. There we go.
I only have one issue with that Ellis Island. It's too loud.
Wow, that's the issue?
Yeah, it's hard to do call-out lines when the speakers are blaring like they are.
Let me see some of the pictures that we've had here. Oh, yeah, and then the first year, they sold out the top section, and they give you, when you go to Ellis Island, when we do our little prop kits, it's like we give you a couple of pieces. You know, and after COVID, it was like a full roll of toilet paper, man. That's like, $1,000 or some shit, But yeah, they give you full rolls, and I have little movies of them throwing full rolls of toilet paper and it coming from over the terrace. It was the coolest scene. I need to find that video, but yeah, that's our crew right there. Science fiction double feature, performing at Ellis Island, and like I said, we have that show coming up, and I look forward to it on the annual basis now that we're a regular. Yeah. Like I said, everybody sensibilities have changed, and nobody's gonna get the well. If you're too sensitive, don't show up to Rocky. You would think people would think of that first. They don't. They still show up, and it is what it is.
So many people have walked out. I've seen.
Yeah, you have cast clicks. Oh yeah. I've seen people walk out and and email me back with hate mail saying why they did. And I'm like, well, sorry, it wasn't for you. Let's see, but yeah, that is Rocky Horror, and like I said, it's something that it's the 50th anniversary, but it's something that to me, it's like it's not. I don't need to wait. For well, it's the same amount. It's the same amount of call outs. Hold on.
Aaron, I'm afraid
Something's wrong with this fucking stream right now.
I'm afraid to write the call out.
Yeah, you get a dinner on the show.
They get pretty rough, the call out lines.
Yeah, and like I said, it's some of the stuff that's called out is offensive. And if the environment isn't for you, some of it, like I said, doesn't matter where you are, whether it's Rocky Horror or anywhere else. It's something like, if I hear certain things, you're getting tossed. It's just, it's just a matter of that. There are limits. There are limits to, to things, and they are loose and they are wide, but there are certain things that, if I hear them, you're gone. And I know there's a lot of places that if they hear them, they're gone too. So, but inside of those parameters, there's a lot to deal with. I mean, if you can watch South Park, you can watch Rocky Horror Picture Show. All right, so there are websites, Aaron, that you can go that have the traditional lines. Most of the lines, even though you have a lot of people who ad-lib the lines and throw in their own thing, most of the basic ones are the same. Most of the basic ones have been the same for decades. Now, you'll have people who add in things, contemporary stuff, but for the most part, at all the thousands of shows that I've attended, or nearly 1,000 shows I've attended, the basic callbacks are the basic ones. And then you'll have like people like Clint or like, certain people that'll throw in their own. Or if there's a current event, they'll throw in that, or if somebody passed away. I'm not a big fan of the doing it when but the body's still in the grave type of situation. But there are a lot of people, like, when you open up the skeleton coffin, they'll say, show us so-and-so. If we're doing a Saturday show and the person just died like on a Thursday, I'm not the biggest fan of that, but I don't get too uptight over that. Most of the call-in, like I said, there's like 3 or 4 of them that I've heard in my 30 years associated with it that I said, absolutely not, don't say it again, or don't come back. But that's a lot of call-outs that just don't really bother me. So, but yeah, there are a lot of them, and like I said, I think there have been cruise ships that have done it. I think the Rocky Horror Picture Show is basically an adaptation of the play, And I know they do the play on some cruise ships, and I know they still do the play every now and then. I know they still do the play in New York, and the rights to get the play are super expensive. That's why I've never done it. So, all right, well, that is my mea culpa when it comes to Rocky Horror Picture Show. Thanks for joining me, Clint, and carrying me over until that. And when I open up the chat, I'll bring it back in. But thanks for subbing in for me there.
Alrighty, I'll log off.
Oh, I love.
On the right.
I'm looking at you. I'm looking at the duck, dude. I didn't know why. I just noticed that now. I don't. That might be the most hilarious one you've done. And they're all hilarious, but that one's hilarious.
Alrighty.
All right, thank you. All right. Wow, Clint, as if you don't know, he has every time he's in one of our chats or he's in one of our watch-alongs, he has a duck because it goes all the way back to Howard the Duck. And so he has, if we're watching Peacemaker, he has a Peacemaker duck. If we're watching Batman, he has a Batman duck. And tonight we're talking Rocky Horror, he had a Frankenfurter duck, which is hilarious. All right, don't know where the hell Brad went. So we got Rocky out the way. So now, let's see what we have. Like I said, we're going to talk Cliff Burton, get the somber part out of the way here. Let's see, we're just gonna roll through these days because, like I said in the description, I was not lazy today, but I had a lot going on today. And as the weather gets closer to my liking, and it was threatening thunderstorms here today, but then it never happened. It gets busier. People are out, and like I said, right now, where most comic book stores wouldn't even be anywhere near open, I got this big old car show that's happening every Saturday, and I've gotten customers from it. I love it. Car show people, you are welcome to come here every Saturday night because they got this thing. For those of you who've seen my parking lot, and I've shown it on screen, this is a massive parking lot. It's a lot of effort to fill it, and it's full right now. And people are wandering through the plaza, and they're coming in, they're taking a look at stuff. So as long as they're there, I'm here. All right, Cliff Burton. The sad part about Cliff Burton is he's been gone longer than he's been alive. He's 39 years old. He died at age 24. He was not as good as he would become, in my opinion. I think that at 24, he would have evolved and arguably would have been one of the, if not the best string instrument player out there. Just where he was when he passed was mind blowing. He said, in my opinion, people are going to be different. Cliff Burton, when I first heard Cliff Burton, when I heard, I'm going to put Anastasia Pulling Teeth, and this is from Metallica's very first release, Kill 'Em All, and I lost money with a metal buddy of mine when I bet him that this could not be bass. This could not be a bass player. And then I saw him. He showed me a video of him with a bass. The bass that he is playing in that picture, and he's playing the song I just put in the chat. He, in his brief life, I think he set the pace for what Metallica would become even after he was gone. Simply because when they went to get Jason Newsted and they auditioned for replacement bass players, I think they were looking for they were looking to replace Cliff Burton. I think, in my opinion, that's one of the main reasons why it was hard to be in that band after him, because you were in the footsteps of somebody that was near and dear to them and whose style shaped them for the first couple albums that they were around. For Newsted to last, and who I think is a brilliant bass player, for him to last as long as he did, and then when you see, Some Kind of Monster, when you see some of the things that he went through with the band, especially in his first couple of years with the band, he was following Cliff Burton. But yeah, Cliff Burton, they were on tour. What was it for Matt? I think it was Master Puppets. Master Puppets is when they were on tour for Master Puppets. They were in Sweden. Somewhere in Sweden. Yes, they were on tour for Master Puppets. And I remember hearing about this because in 1986, September 1986, I was just getting to the point where I could buy my own Metallica stuff. And his albums were already out, and I remember a guy named Mike Genrock. Mike, I never forget his name. It's been fucking 39 years. I remember the name. I remember when they all came in, and these guys were like the cut up guys. These guys were like the Eddie from Stranger Things. They made noise, they did the fart sounds, they did all that kind of. Nobody was saying shit that day. Nobody was saying shit. And it was just after they had found out because it came over on MTV, I think, that he had passed away, and it was like, wow. So I will never forget where I was in the sixth grade. I think it was sixth or seventh. I think it was sixth grade. Sixth grade, yeah, it was sixth grade. I just began my sixth grade year, and that news came over. And this was before the internet. This was the news of his death. It was like Randy Rose. I was fucking like 8 when Randy Rose passed away, and I knew that. I mean, everybody in my block and neighborhood, Ozzy Osbourne, guitarist, is dead. First, when I first heard about Ozzy, I thought he had died in a plane crash because it wasn't coming through clear. Once again, no internet, no news and all that. So, and I found out who it was. But yeah, Kurt, he passed away in September today, 39 years ago today. He was on a bus. He was on a bus that hit a patch of ice and flipped over. And I remember watching, I think it was Behind the Music, where Kurt Hammock, they had been drawing straws or arguing over which bunk to take on the bus. And Kurt won out. Or Cliff won out and got that bunk. And then that's the bunk he was killed in. He was thrown from the compartment. And I remember them, James Hetfield and Lars Ulrich were they wanted to beat the shit out of the bus driver. They said they were looking up and down the road trying to find this ice patch. He said they didn't believe him. I think they were in shock. But his life was cut short. If you listen to some of the earlier stuff that he is on, and you listen to everything that would come after, he set the tempo. He set it, and it has lasted. Even with the subsequent bass player that will replace Jason Newsted, it's still a style that they evolved into. So 24 years old. That's like the second time in the last 30 days we're going over somebody who died at 24. Biggie died at 24, and then Tupac was 25. But to me, he just seems like he's frozen in time. Yeah, he could play it. He could play it with the pick, and he could play it with his fingers. And you could hear him, like, and you hear Anastasia, he's playing that with the pick, and you could hear him going up and down the top string with the pick. The people weren't doing that, Let's see. How you doing? But yeah, Cliff Burton's. Let's see. I'm just reading some of the stuff that they would go through after him. But yeah, Cliff Burton in Sweden on Damage Inc. Tour and support. It was a Damage Inc. Support of Master Puppets. The band members complained that the bunks on their bus were unsatisfactory and uncomfortable. The story of how Burton won the bunk differs between the two band members. As Kirk Hammett stated on VH1's Behind the Music, he and Burton drew cards, and Burton picked the ace of spades, thereby getting his first choice of bunk. Burton told Hammock, "I want your bunk." Hammett replied, "Fine, take my bunk. I'll sleep in the front. It's probably better anyway." However, Ulrich's version of the event was that Hammett and Burton drew straws while Burton, they were high too. They were admittedly high as a kite on the bus, and that's fine. While Burton drew the long straw, winning the choice of bunk, Burton was sleeping when, according to the driver, shortly before 7 a.m., September 27, the bus skidded off the road, the E4, 12 miles north of Lundby, just north of Dorp. Oh, I totally butchered those, but I'm sorry, it's Swedish. And flipped into the grass in Kronberg County. With no safety restraints on the bunk, Burton was thrown violently through one of the windows of the bus, which fell. Oh, the bus fell, and that's right. The bus fell on top of him right after, killing him instantly. He was 24-year-old. The bus driver said that the crash was caused by the bus hitting a patch of black ice on the road, but Hetfield later stated that he first believed the bus flipped because the driver was drunk. Hetfield also stated that he walked long distances down the road looking for black ice and found none. When local freelance photographer Leonard Winterberg, who attended the crash scene, attended the crash scene the following morning, was asked later at a later interview about the likelihood that the black ice caused the accident, he said it was out of the question because the road was dry and the temperatures were around 36 Fahrenheit, 2 degrees Celsius, above freezing point of 32 Fahrenheit. This was confirmed by the police, who, like Hetfield, also found no ice on the road. Lingy detective Arn Peterson was reported in the local newspaper to have said the tracks on the accident site were actually like one seen when drivers fell asleep at the wheel. However, the driver stated under oath that he had slept during the day and was fully rested. His testimony was confirmed by the driver of his second tour bus that was carrying the band's crew and equipment. The driver was determined not at fault for the accident, and no charges were ever brought against him. And Burton's body was cremated and scattered at Maxwell Ranch. The ceremony of the song Orion was played shortly before his death. Jason Newsted from Folsom and Justin became Metallica's new bassist. And there you go. That is Cliff Burton, passing at 39 years ago today. Like I said, he was on the planet 24 years and he accomplished that much and made that kind of impact. So no, because they couldn't prove that his story was bunk. So yeah, they were all too young. All right, let's get on to something something that will be happier. It has to do with Nazis and World War II being lost by the wrong side. But for those of you who watched Peacemaker with us, this last Thursday, you kind of had all your suspicions confirmed, and then some, about what the hell was going on in that town. Took Hardcore about 30 seconds of being in the town to realize it, 30 minutes to realize it. But me and Azteca and we figured that out like almost immediately. Azteca just blew it up in the chat. I was like, how should I put this? And how should I say this on the air? And before I could finish the thought,
And how long?
like, hey, there's no people of color in this something.
And how long, by the way, had all of them like crossed over into that universe before they like saw a flag? I'm kind of wondering.
Hey, like I said, the episode is called "Ignorance is Chris," and that dummy, he's a meathead. You mean to tell me you haven't seen one flag? Argus doesn't have a flag out front.
He's been over there longer than they have.
And then he automatically goes over to the desk and sees the Nazi flag. By the way, a nod to Man in the High Council. Something we will cover one of these days. It's one of Philip K. Dick's scariest adaptations. You think Philip K. Dick writes about a bunch of stuff that just really is, right there. But the Man in the High Castle, people don't realize just how certain events, if they had not happened right, could have led to Hitler winning the World War. It's just that in Man in the High Castle, like I explained before, Roosevelt is assassinated. Remember, there was if you guys know your history, there was an assassination attempt on Roosevelt. In Man in the High Castle, that assassination attempt, it does not fail. He's assassinated. So remember how influential he was in holding the line in World War II and some of the decisions he made. He was not there. America did not get into the war until Japan had gone too far to stop them. Remember Roosevelt, we were responding, the Doolittle raid, like 1942, we were there. I mean, we were hitting back almost immediately. The declaration of war was immediately, they declared war in Japan December 8th we declared war. They didn't do that in the Man in the High Castle. And then, and since that didn't happen, Germany never declared war against us. And since Germany never declared war against us, we didn't declare war on them. So we eventually would get into the war because they would have no choice. But by that time, it didn't matter how much manufacturing we had. It was not where it needed to be by the time that the Axis powers gained their footing. Now, I'm going to be admittedly, of all the Elseworlds and all the multiverses and stuff, this is the one I have not paid as much attention to. Because this is prior to even Elseworlds. This is literally another universe. It's Earth 10. I mistakenly call it Earth X sometimes because it's a Roman numeral. Some people do refer to Earth X, but I don't want to use Earth X because Earth X is a Marvel thing, and I don't want to confuse you guys. All right, so there is a multiverse Omnipedia, and I'll put that link in the chat. And these guys have done a great job of articulating it better than I could. Okie dokie, we ready? Because I'm not going to do a Brad superhuman speed read because my brain doesn't work that fast. but I'm going to go through this really, really quick. All right, Earth X was a version of the planet Earth or Earth 10. Earth 10. You know what? They call it Earth X. Whatever. Earth 10 was a version of the planet that existed in an alternate reality within the multiverse. Before that term is before Marvel hijacked it. In 1944, the president suffered a fatal heart attack, and with his death caused a shift in the war. This created delays in research and developments that stalled the creation of the atom bomb, which Nazi Germany had also made it in that time. Neither side was willing to deploy the bomb as they feared mutual assured destruction, thus causing World War II to continue for years afterwards. As a result, the war continued with many more people dying in the struggle, but the Nazi scientists successfully created a mind control ray, which they used to turn the conflict to their favor. This resulted in the U.S. ultimately losing the war by 1973. Imagine that. Nazi Germany had taken over much of the earth. Now, this is Justice League Volume 1, Issue 107. That's your reference for the first appearance of this universe. Despite the mind-controlling technology, a band of superheroes that were immune to its effects formed and what became the Freedom Fighters. Now, I did not see any heroes in Peacemaker. The Freedom Fighters in here are going to be superheroes. But since we haven't been introduced to all the superheroes yet, the Sons of Liberty are probably, in my opinion, are probably filling that void. That's not to say that there won't be superheroes that fill that void in these next 2 episodes. Don't know. All right, that fought against the Nazis, Justice League, once again, Volume 1, 107, made up of various members of the Freedom Fighters and helped them fight the Nazi threat. As the struggle unfolded, it was revealed that a computer brain had taken control from the Nazis and replaced their leaders with android replicas. The Freedom Fighters journey from Earth X to Earth 1, Earth 10 to Earth 1, in hopes of helping America in its war against crime. Freedom Fighters number 1, Volume 1. Post-crisis. Okay, this is after 1986. Post-crisis. Following the crisis on the Infinite Earth, biggest mistake ever, a new version of reality was created with a different history of events. Nazi Germany won World War II due to the Kryptonian known as Superman. So for those of you who were asking the other day in the chat if we'll see a Superman, if you see him, that would be him. It would be the same circumstances as in Red Sun, where he landed in Moscow instead of landing in Kansas. Here he lands on a German farm, but they think it's a bomb, so they end up turning him directly over to Hitler. And I'll go over Overman's. It's okay. All right, final crisis against Earth. Different. Okay, Nazi Germany won World War II. Due to the Kryptonian known as Overman landing in 1938 and was raised by Adolf Hitler. Earth became a oppressed world under Nazi rule as hundreds of thousands of facilities used to separate genetic lines. Probably when she says one got out, you're probably going to see that type of thing in Peacemaker. That is if this is where they are deriving this from. I'm just matching up the parallels because the only thing reference I have would be this. In which those deemed inferior are killed and others will be used to breed. Let's see. It was noted that the current ruling Führer was a woman. All right, post-Flashpoint. Now it gets really confusing because, the actual thumbnail picture comes from that one. Following the Flashpoint, a new version of reality was created. No shit. With a different history of events. Later on, a rocket ship carrying the son of Krypton crashed in a Nazi-occupied Sudetenland. The local farmer mistook it initially for an unexploded Allied rocket and reported it to the local authorities. This eventually brought it to the attention of Adolf Hitler. When the Nazi scientists discovered it to be an alien craft, they found the occupant to be young Kal-El, who was taken by Hitler himself, and the boy raised to be the Nazi regime's ultimate weapon. Hitler reverse engineered the technology from the baby's pod to win the Second War. So they basically used Kryptonian technology to win World War II. Conquering the entire world. That is in a book called The Multiversity Masterman. In this time, the new Reichsmen fought a number of foes, including Star Conqueror, Construct, the Luther League, and Kandor Row. The Nazi regime came to encounter the alternates who would oppose German forces but came to be on the losing side. Oh, the Atlanteans. So that's basically the basis where I think he's using. And being that James Gunn is a comic book nerd, this makes a lot of sense. The inhabitants of this world were Adolf Hitler, Overman, Overgirl, Supergirl, Brunhilde, Wonder Woman, Leatherwing, Hawkeye, Lightning, probably that's the Flash, Martian, Underwater Man. So you can kind of see where all these names are going: Black Condor, Black Canary, and so on. So the only thing here, obviously, the major difference is the only superhero that we've seen is Peacemaker himself.
When
There's no.
Vigilante,
Oh yeah, Vigilante. Who
the
I
old
think is
Spider-Man meme, yeah.
So that's the only thing, but it appears, it's the opinion of this geek, that he's using that as the basis. So that the Nazis, this isn't new. So he's either using a version in which the war lasted forever, and it didn't end until 1973, or he's using a version where Superman, won it for them. In either instance, you could possibly have and I don't believe, I'm sorry, David Cornsweet, I know you have to tell me that. I don't believe that David Cornsweet is absent from this thing. I think he's going to be in there. And now, is he Overman or is he Superman? I don't know. But I got a lot of messages and a lot of questions, and some people came in today and said, the first words were, is this, was this adapted for a cup? Did this happen in the comics? And so I did some research today, and I went ahead and ordered some of these books, some of these reprints. And I'll have those in because we're just touching on it today. But as I get more info, as I study, because I didn't read a lot of that stuff, I was aware of this universe. I was very aware of this universe, but there's a lot. I don't think people appreciate just how many universes there are over the past 60-something years.
Well, there's now 98 that 98 others other than this one.
Well, yeah. That's how that's for their story purpose. They've told you there are 100. But there's really thousands.
Well, it's infinite Earths.
Yeah, and that's what they mean, infinite Earths. And to me, the more I would read about these things, I just want to go back in time to 1986 and kick the table over when somebody was saying, let's do Crisis of Infinite Earth. I want to kick the table over. I want to push people out of the door. I want to plead my case. Don't do this. Trust me. You don't realize that you are going to spend the rest of your lives undoing this mess that you're about to create. And you know what? Here, I'm gonna bring, here's 0 hour. I'm gonna tell them, here guys, read this. You led to this. Oh, you want Rebirth? Here you go. You'll like some of that, but trust me, it's a mess. You created a mess. I'm gonna get back in my TARDIS and I'm gonna hope you guys make the right decision. But DC's Infinite Earth and multiverses and Elseworlds, and every time, because they are legendary, because they are gods that have been around. So when you take a drastic approach to a Superman, it's entertaining. When you take a different approach to Batman, it's entertaining. Marvel sometimes, yes, but when you're talking about the entire existence of comic books, for the most part, is DC's been in existence for. So you're talking about a lot of historical changes to some godlike characters. So this gives me a good feeling because James Gunn seems to come from the world of, I like these universes. I like the fact that they're there. I like the diversity. He's already shown that. He's already shown more creativity than DC Comics had outside of a handful of individuals in 40 years. Because the mindset of DC prior to Scott Snyder and James Gunn was like, whoa, only one universe at a time because you're all stupid. And oh, wait a minute, I want to do my thing, so fuck everybody else. So I'm gonna wipe your thing out that's been around for decades, so I can have my thing. That was the mentality of DC from 1986 to up till now. So now we have Scott Snyder doing his thing, showing you that you can tell parallel stories without destroying one, and you have James Gunn recognizing elements that are pre-crisis. Because the concept of Earth 10, Earth X, is pre-crisis. Pre-crisis. Because remember what was going on when all these characters came into creation, World War II. So all of this is pre-crisis. Earth 1, Earth 2, all this stuff. All this stuff is pre-crisis. So he's reaching back to pre-crisis. Now, I would love to ask him, amongst a lot of different questions if I ever met James Gunn, hey, do you think Crisis of Infinite Earth was as big a mistake as I do? I want to hear that answer. I might, you know what? I might tag him. Because he responds randomly to people. I might tag him. King,
right now, lately, he's responded to a lot of people that stuff.
do you think Crisis? Do you think DC Comics would have been better off if Crisis of Infinite Earth hadn't happened? I do. And I'm just curious because, and like I said, it's a legitimate question because all this I just read you, it takes place in 3 different eras, right? But it originates in pre-Crisis. So I am having fun. I say what you want about how the DCU came about and some of the shitty things that happen to people and bad management and all that. I don't hold James Gunn responsible for that, and so I'm having fun with these last couple of episodes of the show. Now, is it all of his stuff so far for me lacks that majestic, otherworldly feel? Now that doesn't mean it's bad. It's like me saying my favorite movie of all time is Blade Runner 2049. That doesn't mean I'm going to stop watching science fiction movies that are like that just because they'll never reach that height. But that's where I'm at. I'm having fun with this. I like the discussions we had on Baka stream last night. We were actually having fun.
I caught I'd see all of it. I caught a little bit of it last night.
Yeah, we were having fun comic book geek conversations. It wasn't about, fucking wars and shit. I mean, wars that are going on in the story, but none of the stupid shit that we've wasted all this oxygen on. We were having, wonder what's going to show up here. I wonder what storyline that's going to be. Wow, now I'm going back and digging into the archives, looking up Earth 10. I mean, that's the kind of conversations I want to have when it comes to these IPs. I just want to have fun, and so far I'm having fun. Now, could I have a better time? Yeah, trust me. I think I'm going to probably enjoy Lanterns more than I enjoy anything James Gunn's put together combined because it's Damon Lindelof and it's Lanterns. And Lindelof is like, okay, yes, Lost. All right, sure. But he doesn't have many of those. He's got a couple years a bad day at the office. That's what Lost is to me. But I keep telling you guys, if you haven't watched Leftovers, go do it. If you haven't watched Watchmen, what are you doing here? Watchmen is one of the best things I would say of any form as far as miniseries or continuous. Watchmen is the best superhero content I've seen. It slightly edges out Penguin for me. Because Penguin is a mob show set into a superhero, whereas Watchmen is outright unapologetic superhero, blue people, people flying, people, squid monsters and all that. Watchmen to me is the best comic book TV show that's been done. And Damon Lindelof, if he does anywhere near what he did with Watchmen, I'm salivating, dude. I mean, I cannot wait for this. I can't wait for the trailer. Trailer should be happening any time now. I can't wait for the exact release date. We would definitely be doing watch parties of that. But once again, we're back to having fun conversations. Like I said, we discussed the whole buyout merger shit, but because we kind of have to. But I would much rather be discussing, reading up on characters like Overman, reading up on what the circumstances that led to what we're watching than any of that kind of stuff. So, what do you think? And Brad, how familiar are you with Earth 10 and this universe?
That one is I am not so well versed in as far as my comic book lore. So yeah, you might. So everything you gave there was pretty good rundown of that. It sounds like it's not that far off from like Earth, Earth 3, like where Ultraman and Owlman and all those characters, where it's a universe, populated by villains instead of heroes. But in this circumstance, it's because the Nazis won the war. So yeah, Earth X, that's kind of one of my blind spots at DC.
Yeah, and I wasn't. As you guys know, I watched some DC animated stuff, but most of it I did not watch.
And it's Earth X. I mean, it's not like as far as like storylines or alternate continuities, it's not like one of their massive ones, is it?
It in some instances it covers a couple of different issues, usually one or two. But like I said, in Overgirl, Supergirl, Dark Arrow, and Atom. Yeah. So for those of you guys who watch the cartoons in Arrowverse, which is, like I said, of all my superhero contents, the 2 least things that I pay attention to, you're ahead of the game. So there you go. Let's see. Just making sure I didn't skip because sorry guys, I was frozen for a while and then yeah, Richie Valens and the Big Bopper and who all died in that the day the music died? Richie Valens, Big Bopper, Buddy Holly. Listen, guys, if it doesn't have a jet engine, it doesn't have William as a passenger. The only two times in my life that I got on those lawnmowers and wings is because the Army made me. By the way, holy shit, I never really... Buddy Holly and me have the same birthday. Why is it just now that I'm bugging knowing this? Except, well, obviously he's 30, he was 32 years, actually 42 years before me. Yeah, September 7th, 1936. God damn. Buddy Holly died and, yeah, plane accident. Here's the thing. And like I said, I flew from Dallas, Texas, because you couldn't get to Port Hill, Oklahoma through any other way. So I flew into Dallas Fort Worth Airport on a jet aeroplane. I'm all right, right? They stuck us on a fucking plane. If I can reach the pilot and pat him on the back, I don't need to be in that plane. And then they put us with a bunch of other basic trainees on our way. Some of these guys, this was their first flight, period. These were young men. We were young men. Some of these people, I had been all over the world, but these people, this is the first time they're leaving, and you traumatize these warfighters, these future warfighters, and you put them on these little single engine. I think it was a single engine. I'm like, and we were rocking and rolling, and passengers was like, oh, that's normal on these planes. Yeah, okay. I'd never been on one. The only other time I agreed because I wanted to get the hell out of Fort Sill because I was ready to done. And I got back, and I think it was the same plane. And man, you could hear it. It sounded like somebody was mowing their lawn for an hour. So yeah, I will never get on those. But yeah, with Buddy Holly, Richie Valens, the Big Bopper, J.P. Richardson. Yeah, wow, and this thing was a mess. I mean, they had no chance of survival. But look at this. Not just JFK Jr., John Denver. His fuel gauge read wrong. He thought he had more fuel than he did. But there's just Randy Rose. Now, granted, they were doing something stupid when the idiot pilot was buzzing the trailer and he went too low and caught a line. Leonard Skinner, like 3 or 4 members of the band, Leonard Skinner died. You know, the band continued, but a lot of people died that were part of that band. And if you got money, sorry, jet airplane or no plane. So yeah, and those guys, I mean, the day the music died, that was so tragic. And Buddy Holly was only 22. That's a damn shame. But yeah, that is why, William, if I'm going somewhere and I look at the little flight thing and it says they're playing in a jet aero, whatever, or a 7-seat, whatever, if it doesn't have a lot of numbers on it and jet fuel powering it, I just won't go. I'll fucking take a Greyhound. I don't care. Yeah, man. Man in the High Castle was a pretty good show. It's one of the best shows ever done. And Amazon, they didn't stick the landing like I thought they would do, but there wasn't a lot there to stick. Philip K. Dick wrote this, but he didn't the show gave it more of an ending than even the book did.
Real
and
quick,
it did a lot of filling in.
Kind of off topic, but this is maybe it's related to Philip K. Dick and with like Blade Runner and Total Recall and Man in the High Castle. Big fans, Verka. What are you? Because I've always found this a little bit, I guess, divisive among Philip K. Dick fans. What is your opinion of the Adjustment Bureau? The 2011 movie with Matt Damon.
What is my opinion about the morals of it, or
no, just what'd you think of it?
It was all right.
Yeah,
it's not one of Philip K. Dick's better. I mean, Minority Report was better than that, but I mean, it wasn't.
Because I really enjoyed it. But again, I know other Philip K. Dick fans are kind of like they kind of fall in either love or hate with Adjustment Bureau for whatever reason.
Mostly hate.
You think so?
Because if you read the story that it comes from, it doesn't really do a lot with it. And us Philip K. Dick fans are okay with you going in your own direction, Keith, because Blade Runner, the Android's Dream of Electric Sheep is not exactly like, what Blade Runner became, but it was inspired. It was okay. But Minority Report was more, if you want a story like that, Minority Report was more true. And a lot of Philip K. Dick fans had read the novels and read the short stories.
Which, for those of you who haven't seen Adjustment Bureau, basically, Matt Damon, he's this politician from New York, and he falls in love with this girl, and he suddenly finds this kind of team of guys in suits who are trying to keep him apart from her. And they tell him that basically these guys are part of this organization called the Adjustment Bureau that kind of controls people's destinies at the behest of the chairman, who is clearly meant standing for, well, who do you think? So the whole movie it's kind of like this tug of war between like destiny and kind of forging your own path. Again, it's kind of like a sci-fi theology mashup, and I really dug it.
Okay, on its merits of being a good movie, it's fine. As far as being a Philip K. Dick, that's where people have issue with it. If you didn't know the book existed or the story existed, you'd be fine. Because look at okay, we can remember it for you wholesale.
Which is totally
that shit bullshit movie came from that, and everybody was okay with it. You read that, that's not. They turned that into an action, which is fine.
Well, they turned it into an Arnold Schwarzenegger vehicle.
Yeah, which was the movie was 1,000% bullshit. Oh, we'll survive being out in Mars atmosphere.
We'll switch the atmosphere to breathable. It's like they'll push
you're
our
blind, you're deaf, your head is exploding. I love that movie. And the biggest unfortunate thing was the remake, because the remake's not a bad movie. But that movie, once Arnold Schwarzenegger's face was slapped on it, that movie, you needed another 20 years to ever touch that movie again.
It was, and of course, it was also Paul Verhoeven, riding a high off a RoboCop at the time from it.
Well, and then he did, and he's hit or miss.
Yeah,
he's hit or miss. And when he's great, he's spectacular. When he's not, it's like.
And see, the irony is that for me, he's hit. He's hit when he's doing sci-fi. He's missed when he's doing, kind of the smut, erotic, thriller kind of stuff.
No, I can't even read your old comment. All I saw was Crisis of Infinite Earth. Infinite Crisis. I don't know, even though it was a mess, I think James Gunn would pull off. I hope he never does this. I don't see the reason why I hope he never does it, we're talking about something that, in my opinion, should have never happened. And we keep wanting to do it, something that never happened. So it's like repeating a disaster. It's like, well, let's fucking take the Titanic out and see if we'll get a different result. No, you're going to get the same result. You're going to get the same result. And I would hope that James Gunn is somebody who existed as a comic book geek prior to Crisis of Infinite Earth would appreciate some of the things that got jacked up. So I never want to see a Crisis of Infinite Earth again. There's a lot of different ways you can address Elseworlds, alternate dimensions, alternate universes, without ever mentioning the word. In fact, I don't even want the word crisis ever used on a miniseries or a story again. Don't want to see it. Don't. That's how fucked up that has.
Well, what if it has the word final in front of it?
No, we did all that. No more crisis, because it's a branding, and it's a branding of something that really should have never happened. Now you can debate me, and I know Jared is that we've all done this, where it's like, was the quality of the story there? Yeah. Crisis of Infinite Earth was brilliantly drawn, and the story was told, and the stakes were high. It's the act of doing what they did that really just set me off, because it's like you gave away. It's like you had a bunch of different weapons in your bag, and you decided to narrow it down to a water gun. I mean, the biggest thing about you was the diversity of your universes and the way you could attack different stories from different angles, and you gave all that up. And, and then it became an ego tool to where, if you're a certain person, you're like, well, I got the storyline that's a hot storyline. Let me go ahead and reset everything. We don't need to do that anymore. So no more Crisis, no more rebirths, no more reboots. You know what? I'm hearing this a lot, guys, and you know what that's going to end up meaning. Much like Film Junkie and Scott do the Fanimated stuff, there's too many of you for my taste that have not seen Watchmen. It's 9 episodes, I think 9 or 10 episodes, and we may need to do a group watch on this one. It's the best comic book television series I've seen. And Grant, look how long I've been on. Look what I've seen. Look where I come from when it comes to comic book series. I've seen a lot, and I've seen a lot, and I've had 4 years since Watchmen premiered and ended to think about this. So it's not just like I'm a prisoner of the moment, and I'm like, it's a recency bias. No, I have had a chance to rethink this over 4 years, and it is the best comic book television show I've ever seen. And it's not just on a special effects basis. On a content level, it's untouched. If you want to go faithful to the original, he's actually, because he has more time, more faithful to the original text than Zack Snyder could be. Zack Snyder only had 2 hours and 45 minutes. Damon Lindelof had 9 hours. And he uses them. So if you loved Watchmen as a book, as a comic book, it is a faithful extension of Alan Moore. Even though Alan Moore won't admit it out loud, fuck him. He's in a room somewhere with his long beard and long hair, and where nobody can hear him saying, "They bloody nailed it." I know he is. There's no way he could see that and not even if it is in a snarky way. It's a piece of shit, but it's a good piece. I could see him saying that because I know his co-writer, his co-creator of Watchmen was on board with it. He was an advisor. He was an executive producer. So I'm hearing over and over again that you guys, too many of you guys have not seen Watchmen. We may have to set aside some time to do that. I think your lives are going to be better for watching it. I know some people were smarter because they didn't know Black Wall Street. Black folks knew what Black Wall Street was, but most because they did such an expert job in burying it in the previous century that we hear about. I mean, I have an aunt that lives in Oklahoma, grew up in Oklahoma, has been in Oklahoma and Tulsa for generations. So she knew about it. We knew about it. So yeah. And Lanterns will be cool because James Gunn does better with the TV show. Well, he's not going to be. He's executive producer. He's not even.
He's involved as the head of the studio, but he's not, showrunner. Well, do you think there's any? He might have like written 1 or 2 episodes or anything, or.
I don't think Damon Lindelof. That's not the way Damon Lindelof operates. The way he appears to operate is you give him the basic structure of what you want done. So you're saying, if you're James Gunn, I want this to be, this is where I want this to ultimately end up. And this is what I want you to sort of focus on. And then he walks out of the room type of situation. That's how David Lindelof generally works. And to be honest with you, I don't think James Gunn hires Damon Lindelof to do anything other than what Damon Lindelof has always operated. So I think he's going to give everybody, his entire DCU is going to be like, here's the blueprint of what we're doing, how you do it. We will monitor it, but you're Damon Lindelof, you're James Mangold, you guys are, you have Emmys and Oscar nominations. We'll oversee it and we'll step in where we need to, but I don't think it'll happen.
Someone with a history degree, learned a whole history for the show.
There's a lot, dude. I had people here watching it in our screening room. Watching it in our screening room that did not know what Black Wall Street was and asked me if it was real.
I remember John Oliver actually brought it up on the show at one point. On his show, where he talked about a lot of people found out about that via Watchmen, not in school, not in college, it's textbooks, through a superhero, DC Comics show.
I love that man. By the way, off topic, he does not give a fuck. He doesn't give a fuck about his bosses because he would massacre AT&T. He's like, "How's that business, Daddy?" I mean, he wouldn't care. And without being political. These are times where I need John Oliver really bad.
I like him, but I do kind of like that Jon Stewart's backing into it as well.
Jon Stewart's not funny though to me. I like Jon Stewart, but I don't find him funny. I find him serious.
Oh man, he makes it. That's
Well,
I.
see, okay, I'll rephrase that. I don't take him for his comedy. I'm not watching Jon Stewart for his comedy. When I'm watching Jon Stewart because he's being serious about a serious topic. When he's talking about the 9/11, the people screwing those guys out of the money that they were promised congressional, that I'm not watching him because he can crack a joke. I know he can. That's great. I'm watching John Oliver primarily because he's making me laugh about this stuff, and then he gets serious. So I don't view Jon Stewart anymore as that kind of comedian because in these times, some of this shit's just not funny no matter who's saying it. You know what I mean? But I understand what you mean. But I just don't view him in that. I view him when I'm listening to Jon Stewart. I'm like, oh shit, he's about to lay down some concrete on this right here.
Yeah, he had some fun with the Jimmy Kimmel thing recently.
Oh, they torched dude. I told you exactly how that was fucking in. And like I said, I'm a dummy, and we were like, yeah, give it 4 days, 5 days.
Yep.
Actually, it lasted 11, less than that. Remember? Because I said give it 7 days, and then that 4.1 billion went poof. And they're like, well, wait a minute. And then Sinclair Broadcasting and the other one, Nexstar, we're going to hold our ground. Oh, okay. Okay. You got advertisers that are fueling your bids to buy all these other companies. And if they pull out, those wallets get thin. So even they buckled. In fact, when you look at it, ultimately, they all caved. They all caved.
Well, Aaron, not so much a fan of John Oliver.
No, he fucked it to the New Zealand. Hey, dude, the New Zealand has a bird contest where the bird they choose their bird and they make your case for the bird. He came in and totally fucked it up. He got into it and started campaigning all over the world for the bird he wanted to win. So he totally invaded their bird contest, and they were mad. That's what and then he got a company. He was making fun of a town in Connecticut that had a sewage plant, and he's like, you know what? You name your sewage plant after me, I'll highlight. And they did it, and he came down there, and he's for the joke. He's a good sport, but you have to be, a lot of the people buy into it. Like when he renamed the minor league baseball team, he had them pick it, and people were scrambling to get on the show because it's good publicity. Whenever you get on this show, even if he's making fun of you, it's still funny. I mean,
by the way, to show how far he's come. He you
look at do you look at him when he shows his early pictures when he looks young?
Well, not just that, but also everybody has career fluctuations. He included on his resume is that Mike Myers classic, The Love Guru.
That ended his career.
Yeah, pretty much. Other than Shrek.
Yeah, that ended his career.
That movie's horrible.
We could get. I don't know if we're gonna get them in this universe though, because we're not gonna be there that long. I say if we're gonna get a superhuman, I think it's gonna be Nazi Superman. I think it's gonna be Overman. But I don't know. And this is the cool thing about it. The coolest thing about this last couple of weeks, I don't know.
Well, because again, I because for those of you who don't know, it's like I wasn't. I had an earlier morning than usual on Saturday, helping with a makeup test and my usual lessons I coach in the school on Saturdays. So I came home and just fell over. So that's why I wasn't on the Spinal Tap watch party, unfortunately, and I was only able to watch a little bit of the Baka stream last night. Just to kind of give me the recap on that. It's like
wow, we talked for a good hour about who it could be, who you think that the hidden guy is.
Yeah, it sounded like it was a pretty spirited, non-hostile discussion about it.
Yeah, we were having fun, man. That's what I mean. Like I said, when we're talking about the content, it's really fun. The time flies. Dude, we were on that show for like 4 hours last night. I mean, it was like I know a lot of people are saying it's the mustache guy. That's the guy that they're taking the cup off of. If it could be, I would be so disappointed. But then I don't know. And that's the coolest thing about it, is I've been in this industry either as a fan or as a dealer, distributor, anything so long. It's like when I'm watching wrestling, I know how it's going to happen. I want to be sure.
This is the man who gave us George Clooney at the end of The Flash.
Yeah, I want to be sure. I swear that's not the last of it. You can laugh at me all you want, world. That is not the last of it. But yeah,
Say again, you kind of went out there.
No, I think we're going to get that's not the end of the Flash. Okay, his machinations with the Flash are not over. But people can laugh at me all they want to. I don't.
Was that part of the discussion?
No, we didn't bring that part up because we didn't go into the details of parts. Who can go through it because I don't think you're going to see any other major superheroes in this universe other than Superman. And it might not even be our Superman. It might be over.
Well, there's in this universe because I mean we got 98 others.
Yeah, but I don't know if we're going to see any more of those.
Well, we've seen through the trailer. We're going to see the one with the skull.
Oh, the brain, yeah, the brain.
There's
the skull.
I call them the skull spiders because that's what they are. So,
Okay, I already read that. William Brad, James Gunn said in an interview at 9/11 hadn't happened yet in the DCU. What does that even mean? Oh, well, no. If the Nazis run the world, they've gotten rid of a lot of brown folk.
Well, I think he means like in the mainline DCU continuity, like the world that Superman takes place in.
I didn't see this interview. I thought you were talking about the alternate universe.
I think you might need to fill me in on that one.
Well, he never really has to. Well, I don't know how. I mean, it all depends on how he wants to write a story. He technically doesn't have to. If he doesn't want to, he doesn't have to refer to 9/11. Metropolis is in New York. It'd be different if he was in like Spider-Man in New York and they have to address it. But he's in a mythical city. If his story doesn't call for it, then he I don't know if he ever will. You know what I mean? Like it's different. Like when, dude, the comics that were coming out on after September 11th, man. It sort of brought tears to my eyes because it was real.
Or just like the one, like I'm sure everybody's seen it, like the one image of Superman, like looking at the mural of like the firefighters and the cops and all the.
And he's got crypto next to him, and then the
one word balloon that says "Wow."
Yeah, and then it's Spider-Man. They got Spider-Man in between the wreckage of the towers, and their stories are all urban because this was real. It was real, and it was like
it was real. It was so real that it impacted like the first Spider-Man movie where they were going to have the scene, and I've seen this theory. I think this is actually pretty spot on. The theory that because the first trailer it has where he catches those guys in the bank robbers in the helicopter and he webs them up.
Yeah, because he uses it between to do it.
And there's this theory I've seen like nostalgia critics that says others said it where it's like that was like going to be like that was the scene that was going to like, and now we see him in costume. It's like he does that, and then right after that, that's like the reveal of him in costume.
Yeah, it was a promo. What else happened? Oh, and then now one of the things that when they started telling stories of 9/11, it was like immediately after comics came back. It put me in the position of what it must have been like for the people who had real world stuff going on around them in the late 30s. Because obviously, if there'd have been superheroes, they would have been doing what they were doing in the comics. So this was our coping mechanism, wishing we had those type of superheroes that could have prevented all this or been there to help rebuild all that. And that was the same thing. The people who created the early age superheroes were creating the hero that they wished was there. And that kind of felt like I put myself in their shoes, even though World War II was a massive, the world's biggest catastrophe. It still affected people in different ways. We weren't in World War II until 1941. So the rest of the world was at war while we were out of it. So you figure people who were second, first generation immigrants that were coming over here, and you had people back in the old country and back in Europe, they were writing these stories because they wished they had somebody there to stop the horrific stuff that was going on. And then we had this horrible thing happen with us. And it was like, watching a TV show. I've only seen the movie, which I like. I'll get it too. I'm finishing Better Call Saul. Yeah. Here's another person, man. Wow. You guys, I mean, you got to watch it. I was born on September 7th. Apparently the same day Buddy Holly was. Yeah, I never really asked myself because, I go back as far as Queen Elizabeth. And I stopped looking. I can see James Gunn, Man in the High Castle inspiration from Earth X. Well, he's probably using Earth Pen that's what he's using. Although I can see visual references. That flag is legit. Aaron tagged me in that. Yeah, you look at the flag and the armband that Obergruppen Fuhrer Smith wears and all the American Nazi wears. It's the stripes, but it's where the stars are. It's the white swastika. It's the exact same one.
Can you imagine like coming onto that set like as an extra or like as a photographer or something like?
Well, we're no black extras.
That's true, and like not and not knowing this is where the story is going, and seeing that Nazi flag, and like not having the context for it. Like imagine like seeing that flag on the set and not knowing that it serves a purpose. That this isn't like a this isn't like a neo-Nazi rally.
Well, it would have to be explained to somebody coming
Yeah.
off the set. I mean, you as soon as you see that, you got to ask the question. You're like, what the hell? Like I said, I just realized there was no employment opportunities for black people in this show, James Gunn. Except for out by who's running.
Yeah.
That was the way they executed. Like I said, we all pretty much were figuring it out. But like I was saying on the vodka stream last night, it's not whether you know something is going to happen; it's how it's executed. It's like the Spider-Man thing. We all knew that.
Andrew, we all knew he was bullshitting us.
Yeah, but how they executed it, because you could have fucked that up. But how they executed it was what I was there for, and they executed it in this show. I mean, like I said, the whole Invasion of the Body Snatchers thing that they were doing, a black and one got out, which tells you there's more, and at least we know how Judo Master is going to get rescued. And I think that Earth 10 Vigilante is going to get killed.
Yeah.
And that's going to change Adrian, because he's going to see him. He's going to try to be more of a heroic and more of a serious guy, because he sees the sacrifice that this equivalent made. Because I think those two are going to end up rescuing and liberating the there are concentration camps. Because like I said, Cheeto Master is not.
When you hear the lines like one got away or one got out or whatever the line was, it's just that phrasing too. Like it's like she got.
Like
out,
I said, you use the word. You use the blacks as I just didn't feel like having that conversation, James Gunn. So you use the word.
Yeah. Here says also no Jewish actors on set.
Oh hell no, not if it's Nazi. Not overtly ones. Hell no, they are. So you got to figure where the world is at there, because you figure America. If American is out there, is just the only superpowers. They probably got all of us in cages, motherfuckers.
It's that like Skynet, where they say it's like some of us were kept alive to work, and it's like some of us were exterminated.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Because look at what happened in the Holocaust. They use them in labor camps.
Again, just that phrasing is just so it's so chill. It's like one got out, not even like she got out, he got out, one got out.
Autobot was booking it, man. She's not the most athletic. She was gone, man.
Well, yeah, I mean, fight or flight response when you got a mob chasing after
and
you.
And the way they filmed it
when she comes up the hill and then they're all right.
It's like Indiana Jones. Remember Indiana Jones, where
he's running away from the drive and hey, start the plane, start the
plane, and you just see all these fucking.
And he's got all like these dust coming off of him,
and he's blowing. They're blowing those poison darts at him. And I'm like, wow. He's like, there's a snake in the plane. I hate snakes. And I'm like, dude, how could you hate snakes more than you? You had no problems with spiders. Indiana Jones has no problems with spiders, but a snake.
Oh yeah, man, I would have I would have pissed myself.
That's one of the greatest movies ever made.
With Alfred Molina has like his entire back. By the way, here's a little bit of trivia.
He's like with the Swift.
Well, here's trivia. So from behind the scenes, when they did that, because that was actually Alfred Molina's first movie, was Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Oh, that's right. Oh my God.
Yeah, his very first movie. And so what they did, those are real spiders on his back. And I think, and it was so they put like 20 or so those spiders on his back, and Spielberg's like, they're not moving. What's going on? And the spider wrangler guy says, oh yeah, they're all male. If we put a female on there, they'll fight each other for it. So they put a female on, and Molina says like from that point on, they just went crazy. And Spielberg says like, hey, film. And they say Molina's it's like, look scared. I am scared.
Yeah, but those spiders weren't going to hurt him though. They weren't the type, but they look scary though.
Well, they're as big as my fist. I mean, come on.
Yeah, you have certain tarantulas that have a painful bite, but they're not even. Tarantulas are actually the ones that were on it. They're not even aggressive. They're actually, you see people handling them. They're actually pretty fragile. I'm not a big fan of handling anything with 8 eyes or 8 legs. That's just
not touching. Where's it would have Indiana Jones was there if not for the Big Bang. would have happened if Indiana Jones was there or not if the Big Bang. I'm not sure what you're saying here.
Are we on our plane ride, Clint?
Yeah.
Indiana Jones.
Right. By the way, it's like that's again Raiders and Temple of Doom. Those are both PG. And that's
Yeah. And there's a guy getting his heart ripped out, and a kid getting beaten with a whip.
Yeah.
Remember, Short Round gets tortured. Poor guy.
Yeah, multiple kids getting beat, and or like with Indy was like he's leaving the he's trying to leave that temple, and he turns the corner. Molina's got the spikes through him.
Oh yeah, and the dude that steals, the guy that steals the golem. Remember, give me the whip. I'll give you that guy. That guy gets fucked up.
Yeah, he's the guy. He. I don't know how that trigger works, or like you step into the light and it makes.
Oh yeah, well he stepped on. Yeah, he blocked the light, or he stepped on that. Yeah. Dude, I would have been dead. I would have been dead. If I were Indiana Jones, I would have been clutched to him. I'm like, dude, you don't leave me. You want the fucking treasure? You can have it. You don't. I'm not letting go of you. Wherever you step, I'm stepping. Because that first scene before you even see, when the guy turns on him, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna wait till we get out of here and on that plane or wherever we got to go before I turn on you. Because I'm not gonna make it out of it. I'm gonna step on. I will immediately step on something and I'm dead. It's over.
You're gonna step on something that ball rolls over you, and
because I wouldn't know when to run. I'd have been like, oh shit, where do I go?
See, Indy, he should have just like stayed back where he was, because then the ball like would have rolled over that ramp, and like it would have been so high it wouldn't.
It was so quick though. I'm surprised he was able to think as quick as he did, because I'd have been like, I'd have been all those skeletons that were in there. I'm that guy. I'm the guy who wasn't Indy, the guy who didn't, because a whole bunch of people tried to get that treasure. And
well, again, you see, like Andy puts his hand, and then the spikes come out, and they have a skeleton still stuck on them.
Yeah, and everything he's in, like a lot of people have died. Yeah, Speak Light.
Andy movies are violent, man. It's like, and that's. I mean, I was like 7 years old when I first got Indiana Jones, and again, it felt. Those felt like seeing R-rated movies at that age, because I mean, really,
those were so fun.
Those would not get away with the PG today.
And I got to see those because the old man loved those movies. Yeah. We got to see anything that Steven Spielberg or George Lucas had their hands on. Yeah. That was automatically got a chance to see it. There was no way.
Even just like the stuff that's like, even when they kind of cut away, like when he's fighting the one Nazi, or when the plane.
Oh, dude, you and I know the plane.
He's like, he's like, Indy ducks, and the guy turns around, the blazes chop him up, and
you see the blood. Not nearly as much blood as there should have been, but you got the point. You got the point, boy.
What are some other really gruesome Indiana Jones deaths? I mean, obviously the heart getting ripped out, and
that's pretty much it, though. I mean, I guess we're gonna take off here.
No, wait. Oh, we got something going on in the parking lot. I think this one's a little bit more like kind of played for comedic effect, but I was.
The bikes are leaving the party.
It's and this, I guess, I mean, this fits for like the the Nazi universe discussion. I was got laughing when he's on the tank and he whips out the gun, he fires a bullet, and it goes through like 4 Nazis.
Or when he's climbing under the car, that's the famous scene. He was just an athlete, man. That guy was like a Superman.
Oh, Harrison Ford, yeah. And he apparently, like, he stayed in shape enough to where in the gap from Last Crusade to Crystal Skull, he kept in shape enough to where when they did costume fittings for Crystal Skull, his measurements were the same over that 19-year period, so they didn't have to like adjust it.
See, Last Crusade, I did not like.
I love Last Crusade.
In comparison to the 3 movies, I just thought there were too many people, and it's the same reason I don't like Crystal Skull. As soon as he I'm going to jump in the refrigerator and I'll survive this. I'm like, all right, well. We've gone off beating Indiana Jones path. We're now being ridiculous even by Indiana Jones standards. Oh yeah, that.
Yeah, how could I forget?
I remember seeing that for the very first time, and I'm like, oh shit! I'm like, oh shit, because we watched that movie and we didn't have spoilers, right? People didn't fuck up everybody's lives with just trying to spoil things.
Yeah, today, if that comes out today, you see that gif of that melting dude.
It's a meme already. It's a meme. But when I first saw that, and because you see the things going around, and then when you saw the faces change, I'm like, ooh. And he's saying, "Don't look." And I'm like, okay, why? They're beautiful. Oh, fuck. And that whole melting candle face and Belloc, all those guys dying is like, it's like, don't look. And I once again, I'm dead because I would have to look. I'd be like, oh shit, I'm melting. That damn movie. I love Raiders of the Ark. That's probably one. And if I have a top 20, and I probably should never come up with one, the Raiders of the Lost Ark is near the top. It's not Blade Runner near Harrison Ford, but it's man, I love it.
Man. Yeah, for me, it's like I probably, let's say, the way I'd list them was like Last Crusade. The way I rate them, Last Crusade is the best. Temple of Doom is my favorite.
Oh.
Temple of Doom is my favorite though. It's kind of, if that makes sense. Where I consider that one the best, but that one my favorite.
It goes 1, 2, and then if I have time, I'll watch.
I don't get like the dislike of Last Crusade.
It's just I don't like. There's just too many people in it. And you know what? If you clutter, you know how I feel about clutter.
Yeah.
If you clutter something, it doesn't matter. If I love Sean Connery, but if there's too many people in it, and the story when Indiana Jones, it's him and the girl and the little dude, the Egyptian guy that almost died when he ate the. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, Salah.
He's still alive. Yeah. That guy, but he's only like fleeting in the villain. Once it gets more than that, now we got his dad.
Yeah, see, I love his dad in there, and he's so quotable. And it's like, how'd you know she's not?
Her name's dog in the end.
Oh, she's asleep.
And I'm like, I don't need to hear
the Marx Brothers.
And then at the end, the cheesiest scene, the whole thing when he wouldn't let go of the chalice, and he wouldn't call him. He kept calling him Henry the whole movie, and he kind of called Indiana. He's like, you have to let it go, Indiana. It was like that. I'm recognizing you as the man you wanted to be, because the whole reason he took that name is because he was Dr. Henry Jones Jr. and he lived in the shadow of his dad. And I think his entire life he was trying to get out of that shadow, even though we didn't know the shadow until 1989 when the summer of sequels came out, and all of a sudden he's got that.
And that was within like a week or two of Batman, wasn't it? In '89.
Yeah, Batman, Star Trek V, the final one. Horrible movie.
Yeah.
Horrible movie. Ghostbusters Preview wasn't that good. It had good sound.
I'm just saying, like they all came out.
Yeah, it all came out in '89. It was like only one. Batman was like the only one that wasn't a sequel.
In Raiders of the Lost Ark, pull that back up.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I read it.
Lost Ark, Indiana Jones is irrelevant to the story with him, the Nazis. Oh yeah, I always made that point. Like if he just let them find the Ark and they open it up.
Oh, that's no fun. Yeah, you're right. You're 100% right, Rachel. But shit.
Or let them take it back to Berlin and let Hitler open it, and then we win the war by osmosis.
There's a lot of people who didn't think that was real, and that's another thing, is that we got to study the Ark of the Covenant. A lot of the things, the Holy Grail, everything that he used, the Crystal Skull, all that stuff has historical relevance.
Well, and Hitler.
Yeah, those group. He had a group of people, the cult.
And not only that, but I mean, there's also a little bit of historical basis for like what if anybody's familiar with the Rocketeer. Hitler had. It's really, I mean, it's crazy to like recommend like read up on the life of Hitler. But
well, there was a group that he had. He had a name for it as a cult group that they were always fighting. And the Men Who Stare at Goats was part of that one. And
but look, I remember seeing when I was like a long time ago. There's one documentary.
Thank you for the support, Rational.
Like his big grandiose vision for like once the Nazis like completely conquered the world. With the big dome and everything. Yeah, he wanted to make Berlin like Constantinople, and he wanted like have like a dome like made out of like solid granite. And his architects were telling him like, this is logistically, you can't do this. Yeah, in the ground and everything was necessary. Yeah. But if you watch The Man in the High Castle, they have all that in there. Yeah, that big dome is in there. Everything is in there. So he managed to actually, in that context, managed to like make that again like the giant dome. Yeah, because Man in the High Castle starts in 1961. The war ended in 1947, and there was nobody to stop the Nazis. They were calling everybody. I mean, it was. Have you seen the show? Or have you ever read the book? No. Oh, dude, that's another thing that people need. I don't know if we'll have enough time to do that one, because that's like 4 seasons. But I love that show. Like the Rocketeer, like as I was saying, that's another one. It's like it has some like Hitler wanted to have the Nazis was something akin to that. Like they strap these rocket packs on their back and they just fly to other countries and just conquer us overnight. Yeah, most of the shit that we see now, that he was coming up with that stuff. Yeah. The Germans were dangerous.
as far as the things that they were trying to do, and that they were revolutionizing, and all the horrific experiments and stuff that they were doing on people. If they weren't stopped, some of the stuff that they were created would have been otherworldly, literally.
Well, I mean,
And
like,
that was why it was so important that when we started bombing them,
yeah.
the factories had to go. The factories
Well,
had to go.
And like who was who was a big player in the art space program, Warner von Braun.
Yeah, a Nazi. And Operation Paperclip. Google that, guys, if you don't already know about it. A lot of our NASA. And what happened is after World War II, people who had horrific records as being Nazis, but were part of the jet propulsion program, the Russians took some, and in Operation Paperclip, we took the rest. Because Warner was a Nazi. But without him, he was critical not only in getting NASA established, but getting all the jet propulsions, bringing in all the stuff. Because the Nazis were actually ahead of the game. They were ahead of the game. If they hadn't, the dumbest thing Hitler did is when he declared war, he didn't give a lot of those projects time.
Yeah.
If he had not declared war, a lot of the things that he was working on would have come to fruition. But he declared war, and he was up against the massive production powers of the United States, which is the same thing that Japan ran into. They had great stuff, but they didn't have enough of it, and we could get to them and take out their capacity to make more. They could not do the same to us. That's loud.
William Brad, David Benoff, and I remember hearing about that. That's actually some people have said that.
That's a book. That's actually a book.
That might have some people kind of attributed the kind of the latter season decline of Game of Thrones was because these guys kind of wanted to finish that up as quick as possible, and they wanted to go onto that, and they got some backlash for just this idea. This never got off the ground because they got real backlash for it.
For what?
For wanting to do the show about what if the South won Civil War.
They would have been all right because the Man in the High Castle got backlash.
I get that, but man, it's again, the backlash was enough that this never got realized. I mean, people were legit pissed.
Well, because you're talking. Okay, here's why. And it's an easy answer. What are you going to have to come to terms with and bring to the surface if you're talking about the South of one and the Confederacy of one? You're talking about depiction of modern day, or somewhat modern day slavery, and nobody's going to be comfortable with that. So, and by the way, listen, historically, had the South defeated the Union, they would not have ran the United States. They would have been able to, for a time, exist in the areas that they had. But you remember, you would have eventually been cut off. They didn't have the war powers to exceed their territory. And eventually the United States would have cut them off from everything like they did during the war. And then you had our foreign allies and people that would have not dealt with the South for a lot of different reasons. So they basically, whatever they were not able to accomplish during the Civil War, they would have accomplished over the long term because the South would have collapsed because they would have had nowhere to export all the stuff that their economy was putting out. If you don't have anybody to sell it to, and if you don't have foreign, I know there was some foreign nations that were buying it, the U.S. could blockade that without ever having to go back to war against the South. So even if the Confederacy had done it, all they would have really done is maintain their states until it collapsed because they would have been cut off from everything. They would have been cut off from everything. So yeah, that there's a lot of uncomfortable things that bringing that up would have been, and now you're talking about getting sponsors and people. So
all right, see you, Music Man.
All right, I think we're about to wrap it up here. We're about right at 2 hours, and I got wrestling to watch.
Last thing, just when we had the right idea, but I can't believe they failed that movie again. See, here's what I really, a part of me really wishes they went for this in the ending when they go through that time portal, and Indy's like,
stop.
Oh man, it's I was sitting there thinking, I was sitting in the theater like, oh man, are they gonna have the balls to do this?
I wish they hadn't.
I wish they had. Part of me really wishes.
That was the whole. Once you lost me at time portal.
Part of me really wishes oh man, are they actually gonna Indy wants to stay in the past again? Come on, it makes sense for he's an archaeologist. It's he's actually getting to visit one of the ancient cultures that he spent his whole life studying, and this is an opportunity like nobody else, nobody else, period, and certainly no other archaeologist has ever gotten. He's getting this first, and like, oh, are they going to stick this? Are they going to stick with this? Because he's saying, I want to stay. She says, no, we got to go back. You can't like create a time paradox here. Oh man, it's like
that's the one rated Indiana Jones movie I don't like at all. Once you start implementing time travel, I'm okay with magic to a certain degree and historical magic. Once you take Indiana Jones is the one thing that I don't want to see that kind of, in the UFOs landing or whatever. I
actually thought the aliens was a pretty cool idea in the Crystal Skull. I dug the idea of the aliens, and again, it's like plus also because everybody says like he's always he's pursuing religious artifacts. Well, Last Crusade, what's the one he goes, the Holy Grail? It's like, all right, you got the Holy Grail now. How do you top that as far as like religious artifacts?
The reason why this happened, Aaron, because it wasn't an American reality we would have to resurface and deal with. It wasn't an American heritage. What the Nazis did was something that was done in Europe, even into the to World War II. What was happening to the Nazis was happening years and years before we got involved, but it was always something we do. That's over there. That's not on our shores. Doesn't, it's awful what's happening to them, but we don't want to get into it, but when you're talking about Civil War, you're talking about American, you're talking about, whoever's working on that or living in this country has descendants that go back to an awful reality that a lot of people just don't want to address or talk about. When you're talking about World War II and things like that, you're talking about something that is not here. That is not here. It's a distant thing. Whenever you can put distance between yourself and whatever you're trying to talk about, it just becomes easier to dismiss it. So when you're talking about the Civil War, you're talking about American history. You're talking about American history, and a lot of American history that a lot of people don't want to even correctly remember. So yeah, that's why it's a difference between Man in the High Castle and that. All right.
He got hit and it cuts to black, and again, like I just can remember to this day just sitting in the theater thinking like, oh my god, are they really going to do this? Because it's so risky, it's so ballsy, it's such a Hail Mary, but I'm like, man, I admire the chutzpah if you actually go for it.
Yeah. Once you do time travel in something where time travel doesn't belong, it's you could see it. You could see it. You can see that it doesn't belong. You can see that it's not. It's forced, and it was just not good. That's like I said. That's the one Indiana Jones movie I don't watch again. I've watched even the Crystal Skull. I just don't watch it anymore. All right, guys.
I enjoyed Dial of Destiny overall. I kind of look at it like that's almost like the I kind of look at Crystal Skull as kind of like the finale. I look at Dial of Destiny as almost more like the epilogue to the franchise.
I liked in my mind it into that Temple of Doom, especially when he got too old to do it. The last two movies were really hard on my eyes. Even he's expressing it. Oh, it's not as easy as it used to be. Yeah, watching you is not as easy as it used to be either. So I have all the respect in the world for him.
I mean, yeah, Harrison Ford. Like everything else, he's you will never see another straight shooter as straight a shooter as him in interviews when they talk about why'd you take this role because they gave me a paycheck. Yeah. Everything else, when it's Indiana Jones, it's like because I love Indiana Jones, and I'm telling you right now, if they, he's what is here? He's like 83 now. Something like that. If they agree, if they said we want to do Indy 6 tomorrow, I bet he'd be up for that in a heartbeat.
I don't know, man. I don't know. No, the problem with doing it, Aaron, is the major audience, which would justify you ever making it, would be America. It would be America. It would be where you were watching. And like I said, if you were living here right now and you're looking at our current society, there are a lot of people who don't want to even acknowledge things about the Civil War. So that's your audience right now. That's your audience that you would be getting to make that, unfortunately. Okay, guys. It's been a good show. Solid 2 hours. Long day for some of us. Some of us didn't even show up. Had a lot of fun today. Still got some customers to deal with because of the car show going on. We will be back on the air tomorrow at 10:30 for the weekend wrap-up. Mm-hmm. Have fun. Please like, subscribe, and I will see you at the normal time.
Okay, see you guys.